Hello, YouTube fans. This is Sqaure Klown here to talk about how to fix Kingdom Hearts, the series. So, ever since Kingdom Hearts 3 released, me and my friend have been thinking of how to bring back the franchise the way it used to be. You know how they did this whole time traveling thing? And you know how Sora and his friends came back to make sure they wrote out their wrongs, basically. You know how they said, oh, light will expire, basically. So it just got me thinking, in this timeline that Kingdom Hearts 3 is on, this is where they fail. This is it. This is where they fail. And then the one that I'm talking about soon is literally where they're succeeded. And Square Enix, if they want to, has a great opportunity to do this shit. You can have two Kingdom Hearts timelines, and most people are like, they won't do that. You're right, they probably won't. But if I say cha-ching, they might hear dollar signs. Right? So so obviously we heard that from Kingdom Hearts 3. So if you take that aspect and then you're like, okay, they did mention this, so you know what? We're going back to Kingdom Hearts 2. If you want to save this fucking franchise, but you're like, oh, I don't want to start over with this one, have two timelines. One of this, and then the other one of when the heroes failed, which is the Kingdom Hearts 3 version. I don't give a fuck what you say. Yes, they failed. Clearly as they failed. If they didn't fail, why they had to go back in time? In my timeline, in my timeline, to fix what Kingdom Hearts after Kingdom Hearts 2 did, basically, this is what I would have done. The new timeline is where Kingdom Hearts 2 they don't fail, basically. So you start off with the new franchise after Kingdom Hearts 2. Continue on with the franchise after Kingdom Hearts 2. So there will be no Aqua, no Ven, I'll say Terra would stay because the lingering will, and I'll get to Terra soon. He'll be more important later. No more Roxas, no Xion, even though that might hurt me. No more Naminé. Okay. So all those characters that we know from the prequels and everything like that, forget it. Forget about all of that. That didn't happen. Remember, after Kingdom Hearts 2, none of that shit. None of that shit. Okay? All of that's gone. So what should we do after Kingdom Hearts 2? Alright, this will be the timeline when the heroes actually succeeded. So most people be like, okay, we defeated Xanos Heartless and then his nobody form. So are we gonna get the old man back? Okay, fine. Yes, you are going to get him back. How about that? But here's a catch. Since you have Lingering Will there, how about we have Lingering Will come back as the young Xehanort, basically? You know how we kind of got a little bit in Kingdom Hearts, because the thing is, with the series, with this timeline that I'm talking about, you can grab some elements from the other timeline and put it in this, but make it 10 times better. You know, like you don't have to have Xion, you don't have to have Naminé, you don't have to have freaking Aqua and Terra. Aqua there or Terra there, but I'm still saving Terra because you have them in the final mix version of Lingering Will. You know, so that was before we had the prequel, Birth by Sleep and everything like that. So that's how I'm following this timeline. All right. So the Lingering Will, in my opinion, will be the final boss for Kingdom Hearts 3 or the next Kingdom Hearts game. That's what I would have done. No, this Yazora shit, okay? None of this shit, okay? So, after Kingdom Hearts 2, what would the heroes do right after Kingdom Hearts 2? Something, the Lingering Will probably is doing something, you know? And then Sora, Donna, and Goofy are like, trying to figure out what's going on. They go to new Disney worlds, and the new Disney worlds get affected by what the Lincoln Rail is doing. And then eventually he takes the helmet off, and you find out that it's actually young Xehanort. And you'll be like, wait, what the fuck? Then you get a little bit of a backstory about this guy named Terra, that was, you could, that knew about the ancient Keyblade War or something like that. Again, you can make this up. You can have Terra connected with the ancient, with the Keyblade wielders. Again, with the with the Masters and all that. Those concepts, you can grab that and put it in the next saga of Kingdom Hearts in the next timeline, but totally different. Totally different. So this is how I would do it, if you're gonna do another timeline. Because me and my friend have discussed, hey, might as well make another timeline if you want the true hardcore Kingdom Hearts fans back after what you did to Kingdom Hearts 3. This is how you do it. Maybe you might not take my idea, but I'm saying maybe you might just start over where Kingdom Hearts 2 left off. Bring back a little bit of the same gameplay. The only thing I will recommend bringing back is literally just the limit system that that you see in Kingdom Hearts 2. Like in all of that foam stuff from like changing clothes and that, I will bring that back. Change the battle system a little bit. Obviously, kind of like what you see in Birth by Sleep a little bit, or like in Kingdom Hearts 3, almost like that. So, or what we see in 0.2. So I wouldn't mind that. But after that, Lingering Will is obviously Sora, Donald, and Goofy are figuring out what's happening here. Because in a way, Lingering Will was like the like almost extra the final boss in a way. So I will have Lingering Will be that next final guy. And then he will be young Xehanort. If you still want to have that aspect of Xehanort possessing a young guy, you could still do that, but again, do it differently, have this guy be this warrior, have this guy Terra be a warrior that knew about this ancient Keyblade War, and then Xehanort try to bring it back, and he was trying to stop him, and yes, he'll be the only one in where he mentioned that he had friends. You know what? Fuck it. Let him mention that he had friends and he lost them in battle. Fuck it. The reason I mention this is because wouldn't it be more interesting, more tragic if that happened, if the characters didn't fucking come back? Hello? This will be a timeline where no one doesn't come back. And yet the hero still succeeded. And then this timeline that everyone knows about Kingdom Hearts 3, they failed, but yet people came back. There's no consequences. So in this one, there's consequences, okay? All right? Don't tell me there's no consequences. There has to be fucking consequences, okay? So you have Terranort, which we're going to bring. We have Terranort going to different Disney worlds, literally consuming and bringing the darkness up. And you have all these Disney characters literally either being possessed by the darkness, and like you see Buzz Lightyear, in Kingdom Hearts 3, or we get like new type of Heartlesses or something like that, or you see the Disney characters being like their worlds are being consumed by the darkness and everything like that. Like you see darkness coming out of their like the freaking like buildings and shit. Like for example, like what if you were, for example, like say if you were in the Big Hero 6 world, and then darkness is just everywhere, but it's like oozing out of the freaking buildings, and then the freaking the fucking roads and shit. And then when you fight a boss that's a Heartless and you defeat it, it can't be defeated because since there's so many darkness around everywhere, the Heartlesses just come back together and just you still need to keep fighting and fighting it and fighting it. Even and then Sora, Don, and Goofy are going to get fucking tired, And then at one point you're going to be like, oh my god, are they actually going to fucking die? Stuff like that. And if you want to have Riku and Kairi there too, go ahead and do that. Hell, that'll be 10 times better what you did to them in the future of Kingdom Hearts games. So, and then this moment right here in this timeline, I will have Kyrie literally be a fucking badass. I would literally have, at the point, Sora, Dawn, and Goofy literally not knowing what to do because they're like, holy shit, we keep defeating these guys, but they keep reviving themselves every time we defeat them, you know? So they think it's over, you know, and then Kyrie comes with Riku and shit, and, you know, they help stop the darkness and shit, you know? But then they're going after Terra. Then he's wearing the Ligon Wheel outfit, you know, you fight him as, you know, with Sora, Donna, or Goofy, or with Sora, Riku, and Kyrie, you know? Um, and then you just fighting them and everything like that. And then when you fight, when you fight him, the lingering will takes off his mask, and you find out it's you know Xehanort, but in a different timeline, and what not different timeline. You can it's basically it's Terranort, but it's still Xehanort in Terra's body. We're still keeping that concept, but we're making it a little bit better here, you know. So people are going to guess how the fuck did he got possessed here, because this is a new timeline, new stakes, new everything. So it is going to be something different. It's not going to be what we see here, you know. So most people be like, okay, how did Terra became part of Terranort? Easy. Over the years, when he was inside that Lingering Wheel's body, he just became corrupted by darkness. Why? Because he was trying to defeat Xehanort. He couldn't defeat Xehanort, so his last opportunity was to save himself for just in case if he comes back in the future. But since he was so traumatized in a way, since he lost his friends and he couldn't stop the people that took his friend's life, have you seen? If you played Dragon Quest 11, it's the same concept of what you saw when you save your father. Because there's a spoiler alert if you haven't played Dragon Quest 11. In the post game, well, in the before the post game, you hear the story about this knight that is fueled by darkness, and this is creature that is a lion that's feeding the darkness and everything. When you see that scene, type it in on Google, type it in on YouTube. If you see that scene, it literally screams Kingdom Hearts for me. Every time I saw that, I was like, this is what you should do with Terra. If you're gonna make another Kingdom Hearts timeline, this is what you should do with Terra. And guys, if I'm telling you, look that clip up, and I guarantee you'll be like, yo, actually, yes, I would love to see that in the Kingdom Hearts. That screams Kingdom Hearts. It does. And yes, we see that sometimes in Kingdom Hearts, but again, there's no consequence. There's a consequence. Because in Dragon Quest 11, you find out that your father is still alive, and you're like, oh, cool, you know, I want to help him. But he's so gone and so broken that you have to finish him. You have to kill him. And that's it. That's a consequence, dude. You acting like, oh, I could bring them back. No. In Dragon Quest 11, no one comes back. Even if you have to go travel back in time, you don't go back to your other timeline, dude. All the memories and all the stuff that you got from that other person, from the other timeline, you're probably not going to get it in this same timeline. That's tragic. That's tragic. And that's something you could do with Kingdom Hearts if you did the timeline shit right, but you decided not to. So you know what? We're scrapping that. We're scrapping that in this new timeline. Okay? And plus, we're having a new director in this new timeline. Nomura is not being director anymore. He's being producer. He's just making sure that shit is afloat and making sure that, hey, the story is fine and it's fit with the Kingdom Hearts narrative, and hey, it's not fucked up, you know? And he's not going to get his greedy claws on it. Let him just be producer and have a new director come in and have their new eyes and vision of what Kingdom Hearts should be, or what Kingdom Hearts should be in the next timeline. I mean, in this version of the timeline. Nomura can have his version, and the hardcore fans can have their version. You see how it is? This is what I would like to see, at least. Where it happened, again, if I say cha-ching, Square Enix is probably going to hear it, or someone in Square is going to probably hear it, and probably tell the higher ups about it, and make some suggestions. Where it happened, I don't know. Most people are like, you're giving them too much credit. But hey, this is something I'm just going to do for fun. And if you guys like it, cool. But if some people don't want it, just because, it's another timeline, guys, Kingdom Hearts 3 kind of established that. So in a way, Might as well do it. Might as well. Might as well. If you have established different timelines and different scenarios of different timelines, why not this one? For kind of like this is a timeline where the heroes failed, right? Have a timeline when the heroes did not fail. You don't have to bring all these characters back like we see, like Shion and all that. Oh, we missed them. It doesn't matter. It's over for them. They're gone. They're non-existent. Okay? You might like those characters, but for things to move on and things to not be as, oh, I don't know, to bring people back, we have to let them go. Just because in real life, if someone dies, do you want them to come back? That's selfish. Let them go. Let them fucking go. Okay, guys? Like, for real. You know? Like I wasn't happy to see these characters come back, but at the same time, you're taking everything away from the other Kingdom Hearts games. Like the moment when Shion died and shit, and then she came back, I'm happy she came back, but that moment when she died in Kingdom Hearts 350/2 days is basically, in a way, tainted. Not so bad, you know, because it's still a good moment, it's awesome, but at the same time, when you look at it, you could have just left it the way it is, and this character could have been more memorable and more loved than anything before. Now you just brought her back, and yes, it's cool, and she's beautiful and shit, and I love her, but fuck, man, like, you know? So, in this other timeline, going back, eventually, Xehanort takes a hold of Terra, because he's so corrupt by darkness. Xehanort is just like, oh, hello, what do we have here? And since his Heartless is gone and his Nobody is gone, the old man is back, but the old man can't really come back because he already possessed the lingering will, which is now Terranort, and he took off the mask, and now, you know, Sora, Donald, and Goofy think that, oh, this is actually Xehanort in flesh, and obviously the player is going to think that too. But eventually we move on and we find out something more deeper and darker, and then we're going to find out that the true Xehanort is not around anymore. He's so corrupted and so fucked up that he's literally become darkness itself. You don't think that's a good idea? You don't think that's bullshit? I think that's fucking amazing. Imagine fucking, imagine Xano. It's you know how have you ever seen like how Kefka looks in the final boss of Final Fantasy VI? Imagine that, but a little bit different. You can have like a shadow heartless, you know, those big giant heartlesses and everything with the freaking heart on it. You can have that and then have Xehanort on top of it and shit, or have like three of them in the bottom or something, have a Xehanort on top of it or something like that, like kind of like a Final Fantasy boss and shit, kind of like you see in Kingdom Hearts 1 a bit when you see Ansem on like a fucking, in a way, like a boat. That type of boss fight, we're gonna have, all right, giant boss fights always, all right. We had that in Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, but fuck Kingdom Hearts 3, we're not gonna get that. So hey, at least Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 did it right. So, you know what? We're doing it right here. In the next Kingdom Hearts game, you know? It doesn't have to be Kingdom Hearts 3. Hell, if you want to, you could call it Kingdom Hearts Resurrection. It sounds cliche because there's a lot of movies that's called Resurrection, but fuck it. Fuck it. It's the resurrection of a franchise that a lot of people thought was just dead to begin with. After what? Maybe Kingdom Hearts 2 or when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. You know? So, after that, again, the Disney Worlds, when they defeat Terranort, you know, because eventually they will find out that it's Xehanort and he's corrupt by darkness and you need to stop him, but that's in the future Kingdom Hearts games. Let's just focus on the sequel for Kingdom Hearts 2, basically. So, when the game ends, will it be a happy ending? Oh God, no, it won't. I'm going to make it not a happy ending. You know what I'm going to make it? I'm going to make it more tragic than ever, okay? So what I'm going to do with this timeline is that everybody gets separated. They defeated Terranort, and Terranort was like, oh, okay, you defeated me? puts the Keyblade down in the ground, and then all of a sudden darkness comes out of it and grabs Sora, Dart, and Goofy, Kairi, and Riku and throws them in different fucking portals and different worlds of not different worlds of Kingdom Hearts, but different worlds of Disney worlds, and he locks them with his Keyblade. That way they can never get out, basically. And most people are like, oh my fucking god, like, and most people are like, they have Keyblades, they can do that, right? They could return from that. But here's the catch. Terranol is not using his lingering will weapon. He's using the Keyblade, the X-Blade. He's using that to lock them up. That's the first time we're ever going to see the X-Blade in this series, you know, in this timeline. And then so when they get locked in different worlds, you see Sora, because Sora is still the main character. You see Sora in Shibuya. Same thing that we see from that cutscene. And then all of a sudden, again, going back, we see Riku there. You know? But instead of we seeing Yozora up there, it's a guy with a fucking cloak, which is the Master of Masters. But right next to him is literally all the Keyblade wielders that worked with him. You know, the foretellers. I don't know why I almost forgot them, but yeah, the foretellers. They'll be standing right next to the background, and you know, one of them, there won't be no boxes at all, no box at all, and he's just standing there with, and you see the Kingdom Hearts, and you see the moon, and he just makes the Kingdom Hearts logo on it, and then that's it. That's setting up for the next Kingdom Hearts game. See what I did there? You could take different elements from these different Kingdom Hearts games and what you did, Sqaure and Nomura, and you could put it for a new Kingdom Hearts game, you know, or a new timeline of a Kingdom Hearts. The story's there, and in a way, the opportunity is still there. For crying out loud, again, going back to Kingdom Hearts 3, you have the heroes going back to fix the timeline so they can make a good timeline for themselves. But what if they didn't have to do that? I talked to my friend about that. I'm like, what if they didn't have to do that to begin with? That is the timeline that, hey, that wasn't Kingdom Hearts 3. The timeline that they succeeded, basically, that they didn't have to do that, to go back to make sure they didn't fuck up, basically, is where this timeline should be. That they didn't fuck up at all, you know, that they had to go back and make sure they didn't fuck up. This one is like, they never fucked up at all, you know? And the characters that you thought that were there, like Shion and all that, no, they're not there anymore. They're not there. They're all gone. They're all gone. All of them are gone. That's why you bring back Terra, and you have that, be like, oh my god, he lost his friends and shit, you know? And then he does the same thing to almost to Sora's friends, you know? And Donald and Goofy are separated too. Forgotten about, they're not even together. And most people are like, what about King Mickey? Here's the thing. You see, obviously, King Mickey is in the background for this next Kingdom Hearts game, and a lot of people are like, where's King Mickey? Where's King Mickey? By the end of the credits, you see King Mickey going to Yen Sid, and Yen Sid feels something has tragically happened to the Sora and his friends. And then Mickey is just like, I have to do something. And then the next game would be Mickey Mouse trying to save Sora, Donald, and Goofy and his friends. And yes, you still will play as Sora and Donald, still play as Sora and Riku and Kairi. But the first time ever, you're playing as Mickey and trying to save your friends, you know, and trying to figure out who this Terranol guy is, and if he's really connected more with Xehanort and stuff, and what happened to Xehanort, you know, like how he became more into the darkness stuff, you know, like, did he died? Did he just decided to just sacrifice himself to the darkness, you know? So many things, you know? So tell me what you guys think down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like this video, and if you like this concept. Now, it doesn't have to be 100% that Sqaure should do this, but at least there was something that you could bring and do, you know, if you want to do this. That's just me. If you want to fix the Kingdom Hearts franchise, you can still have two timelines. One for the hardcore fans after Kingdom Hearts 2, or the ones that like Kingdom